I was a short distance offshore from one of America's most vital defense installations. A plant making highly explosive rocket fuel. I had to move with great caution. A patrol boat was in the vicinity. On it were factory guards, members of the plant's security staff. They had the legal right to shoot to kill. I knew they would. I didn't intend to give them the chance. My mission was sabotage. The circumstances that had made me a saboteur still seemed weird and strange to me. Yet here I was. Sabotage was my job, and I intended to do my job. With a periscope, I could safely check the movements of the patrol boat, too, and give it plenty of room. The way I was working seemed safe enough to me. My underwater camera combined a telephoto lens with the periscope attachment. I started by getting some very good offshore views of the most secret building in the entire plant. I made many other revealing photos of the plant and its working activities. Unfortunately, I became too interested in my work. I was neglecting the patrol boat. I was in trouble. I had to drop the camera and swim for my life. The first shots would be warning shots to make me come to the surface. I might still be able to escape. The area where they had trapped me was fairly shallow, too shallow, and the water was uncomfortably clear. The water was slowing the bullets down, but they were much too close. These were no longer warning shots. These bullets meant business. So up I went, hands first.
Come aboard! Over there. Okay, mister, what were you doing down there?
Scuba diving. No law against that. There is against shooting at someone, though.
How long you been down there?
Oh, about half an hour.
Where'd you come from?
Just offshore.
You know what that is over there?
No, but I couldn't care less. Mind if I go?
That island is out of bounds, off limits to anybody.
Well, I didn't see any signs down there where I was.
That's very funny. So you're a skin diver, huh? That just happened to wander into this area.
That's right.
What's your name?
Perdway. Jim Perdway.
Mr. Perdway, what was that little device that you were using?
Device? What device?
Never mind. Packy, take us back to where we first saw him. Now, Mr. Perdway, let's get out of that gear.
Pretty clever device you've got here, Mr. What'd you say your name was?
Perdway.
Perdway. Where'd you get this?
Had it made.
Pretty useful, too.
I don't know how useful it is. I have fun with it. But I got news for you. This isn't any fun. And when I get a hold of my lawyer, you and your boys and this company are going to be in for a king-size lawsuit.
Now, don't get yourself worked up, Mr. Padway.
Perdway. And I am worked up. Plenty. I've been shot at, handcuffed, illegally detained, and third degreed. When all I was doing was diving in waters that I had no way of knowing was a restricted area.
And also because you took some pictures in that restricted area.
I didn't know it was restricted.
But we'll find that out when we get your film back from the darkroom. All right, fellas, you better get back to the patrol boat.
Sure you don't need us here?
No, I can handle it. Thank you. You did a fine job, both of you.
Thanks.
You put on a good act, Mike.
I even surprised myself. Your boys weren't acting, though. They were playing for real. They're sure on their toes.
Well, good. That's what I'm paying you to find out. Sorry you have to work so hard for your money.
Yeah, so am I. Hey, maybe we better let him in on it, huh?
No, keeping everyone out but you and me is the only way to get a legitimate check on our security on the seaward side of this plant. Now, what else did you see besides the patrol boat?
Plenty. I took some pictures that'll make your hair stand on end. And if I can do it, somebody else can. I don't mean that the fellas aren't doing a good job of patrolling, but I think maybe you might need another patrol boat.
No, we'll put one on. You work close to shore all the way?
Yeah, right in through here.
What about the intake pipe? This worries me a little.
No, I didn't get that far. Pretty rough through there, you know. And it's a long way out. Rough water.
Let's hope that guarantees its safety.
Well, let's find out for sure, though, huh? The intake pipe was the plant's most sensitive underwater point. The mouth of the pipe lay a long way offshore and very deep. A dozen men had lost their lives forcing that water tunnel through the ocean bottom. The whole area was very dangerous and seemed almost impossible to reach without a boat. It was the last place that anybody would expect a saboteur. I paused to take a bearing. The farther I went, the more I realized that the intake pipe was much too far and too deep to be within anybody's reach. But I was determined to get there if I could. The visibility was getting poorer. I was just about to turn back, and then I spotted something that could be my answer. The hulk of a sunken freighter. The idea occurred to me that it would be an ideal halfway point. I could store some spare air tanks in it and use it like a way station. From here, the mouth of the intake pipe would be within easy reach. But there were air tanks already there, and they weren't mine. Someone else was there ahead of me with the same idea. I heard someone land on the deck above me. I got out of sight, and none too soon. I waited while he changed his tanks. I wanted to know what his next move would be. I let him get well ahead so that I could follow him without being noticed. There was no mistaking the direction. Whoever he was heading for that intake pipe. I got there a few minutes behind him. 2 men were in front of that pipe, cutting a hole in the screen. My first thought was that they were going to enter the pipe. This would give me an opportunity to trap them both. Then suddenly I recognized what one of them was holding. It was a miniature torpedo. I started toward them, but it was too late to stop them. The torpedo was in the pipe, racing on its way into the rocket fuel plant where just one explosion would turn everything for miles around it into a blazing inferno. It had been my job to stop them, and I had failed. But if there was to be any chance left, I had to bring those 2 men to the surface, alive. I used a trick that I had learned as a Navy frogman. I choked him with the rubber sling and my spear gun. It cut his air down to a minimum, leaving him helpless until I could return to deal with him. The second man was tougher. And finally, I turned off his air valve. He had only one way to go, up. Within 5 minutes, they were both on the deck of the patrol boat, in custody. And I was in custody, too, until Madden identified me.
Yes, Mr. Madden, I understand. Yes, sir, he can help with the interrogation. Yes, sir, I'll tell him that. Over. They're evacuating the plant at once.
Good. What do you say about reversing the flow in the intake pipe?
Well, it can be done, but it'll take time because the engineers have to disconnect and reconnect the pumps. Now, come on, you two, talk.
How much time before that torpedo goes off?
Come on, talk! Don't you realize if that plant goes up, half the island goes with it? You want to wind up in the gas chamber?
Gas chamber? Well, no, wait a minute. I was just a helper.
That torpedo had a delayed fuse. You had to allow yourselves time to get clear. Now, how much time?
Come on, talk!
All right. We said it.
Get out of there. Let him go. Come on. Get out. Come on, get out of there. Now you talk.
Okay, we said it. We left ourselves an hour.
It gives me about 45 minutes.
Where are you going?
Into that tunnel.
Are you kidding?
No, there's still a chance. I've got to take it. I'll need a spare tank. I'm going to use yours.
How far in are you going?
As far as I can get. I placed the spare air tanks in front of the tube, in case that I was down to my last gasps of air by the time I got back. If I got back. Being alone in that dark, weird pipe gave me a strange feeling. I felt an almost irresistible urge to turn and go back, where it was safe, I knew that I couldn't. I pushed along, hoping that the torpedo had stopped short or had been fouled within the tube in some way. I knew that far over my head, the plant was being evacuated, and a large area around it. Thousands of people at that moment were fleeing in terror of the worst possible explosion in their memory. I had to find that torpedo. I was deep into the pipe. In front of me was a ring of measuring gauges. The torpedo had dented one of the gauges and continued on, but it could have been damaged or deflected. I started through too quickly. Suddenly, I couldn't move. My air hose had caught on one of the measuring devices. I couldn't twist too far to reach it without ripping it. I was trapped. I tried not to panic. If I could slip the tanks off, I might free the air hose. But I had to move with infinite care. A torn air hose here could only mean certain death. And not only for me. It slipped free, with the air hose still intact. But my air supply was greatly reduced. My valve was damaged. My life depended on whether I could repair it. I'd lost precious time and air. Everything seemed to be working against me. My body ached. My lungs ached. I wondered whether this was really pipe or an endless coffin. I knew that I was feeling the effects of the pressure. My thoughts didn't seem to coordinate. The turn in the tube indicated that I was now under the plant itself. It should have alerted me to something else, but I was too groggy to notice. It was my air tank that hit the little propeller. It didn't register at first, but the metallic sound woke me out of my numbness. I reached up. I had been told how to disarm it. I knew that even disarmed, it could still be dangerously sensitive and tricky. Determined not to drop it or bump it. But there was something else that worried me even more, that I didn't have the strength left to make the long trip back or the air to sustain me. I was trying to use only the very minimum of air. I was dazed and bone weary. My muscles were still moving me forward, but I hardly knew how. The torpedo was getting heavier and heavier. My arm ached from gripping it and almost slipped. Somehow it didn't seem to matter. The pipe seemed to be closing in on me. I felt as though I was held in a water-filled straitjacket. After a while, the last strength seemed to have gone out of my legs. I realized dimly that I had practically stopped moving. I thought, what a strange place to die. I thought I was done for. But I made one last effort to shake out of it. It was instinct for survival, nothing else. Then I saw light ahead. I raced forward to get my tank of air. I released the torpedo. It didn't explode. No breath ever felt better. I looked up. The patrol boat was still circling and waiting. When it was firing bullets at me, I never thought that a day would come when that boat would be such a welcome sight. But this was the day. This was the day. I'll be back next week at the same time with another sea hunt story. Plan to be with us again, huh? I don't usually go on treasure hunts, but this time I was on a very special one. I was underwater in a West Coast harbor, looking for a fortune in illegal drugs. I was carefully checking the hulls, propellers, and rudders of boats and ships for any possible hiding place. The Federal Narcotics Bureau had an important tip. The drugs were expected to be in a sealed container attached below the waterline to some craft in the harbor. Then I saw another diver alongside the hull of a large ship. It seems that I'd been searching the wrong vessels. This other diver, whoever he was, had beaten me to the treasure. I wasn't going to let it get away that easily. Besides, I was sure that the Narcotics Bureau would be most interested in where he went with it. The diver brought his container ashore at a breakwater. He seemed to be waiting there. My guess was that it wouldn't be for long. I had a wild idea. If I was going to do something, I'd have to do it fast, while he was still alone.
What are you doing here?
Just a moment, please. Sorry. Get up. Let's go this way. What about him? You got the stuff. Let's go.
My only hope now seemed to be a couple of men walking down the beach.
Hi. Hi. Behave yourself. I'll give it to you right here.
What do you got there, Mac? A bomb?
Yeah.
Better be careful. It doesn't go off.
You all right, Mike?
Hey, you cut it kind of close, didn't you?
Sorry. Pure heroin. $500,000 worth of time these characters get through cutting it.
Now, one thing about those fellas from the Narcotics Bureau, they always seem to turn up at the right time. Though I wasn't so sure it was the right time when Charlie Keller turned up again.
See ya.
Doing yourself any good?
Am I? Take a look at this.
Hey, that's all right.
Half-hour fishing.
Mike, we need your help again. This time we need it fast.
Oh?
We've got a vessel out in the harbor that's under suspicion.
Yeah?
She docked this morning from Bolivano. We had a solid gold tip. 10 pounds of heroin, $2 million worth of this stuff on board.
Wow.
We searched it from stem to stern. We couldn't find a grain of it.
Check the hull, huh?
Well, Charlie Varick did. You know him, don't you?
Oh, he's a good man.
He didn't find it either, Mike.
Any chance they might have sneaked it off past you?
When they unloaded the cargo?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. We checked every box and every barrel. We even searched every crew member who went ashore, and that means all of them, except the bosun's mate. He's still aboard, taking care of the store.
You think you might be waiting for somebody to come out and take delivery, huh?
Well, that's possible, but it's pretty risky. Mike, she shoves off in the morning.
It's not possible to keep her from sailing some way, is it?
Not just on suspicion of contraband, no. We have to have some proof.
Well, I don't know what I could find that you fellas have missed. But if you want me to,
We do, Mike. That tip could be solid.
Okay. I'll go out and take a look.
I didn't expect to see anything much at that distance, so I wasn't disappointed. I was puzzled, though, by that crewman. What was he staring at so intently? Those bubbles? They just meant that the ship was discharging water from one of its ballast tanks. Nothing unusual about that. Suddenly, I realized that it was unusual. That freighter had unloaded her cargo already, so she needed all the ballast that she could carry to ride easy. Instead, she was emptying one of her ballast tanks. Why? For only one reason that I could think of. That crewman wanted to get at something hidden in the tank. Those 10 pounds of heroin that the Bureau agents hadn't been able to find. I intended to get to it before he did. This was the right tank, it seemed. Now, if my hunch was also right, I was about to find $2 million worth of heroin. This was it. I'd found it. Hidden aboard this freighter, tied up now in a West Coast harbor, was a quantity of heroin valued by the criminal underworld at $2 million. I had found the heroin, and I had been trapped in an empty ballast tank with it. It didn't take the crewman who had trapped me very long to decide my fate. He intended to drown me. He didn't know that I had a diving lung with me. Or maybe he did, and figured that he'd keep me in here until my air supply ran out. I couldn't wait to find out. I couldn't wait at all. Unless I got out in the next 30 minutes, I'd have to be dragged out. I took off my gear so I could work more easily. Well, the best knife in the world wouldn't have helped me. What I needed was an acetylene torch. I started to check my tanks. At the rate the water was rising, I'd have to depend on them very soon. I knew what the crewman would expect to see now, floating in this water-filled coffin. I did my best not to disappoint him. I was heading for the dock when I spotted the two men coming aboard. I realized immediately that they were much bigger game than the container of narcotics itself.
Johnny! Go find him, Tom.
Yes, sir, Mr. D. Johnny! Hey, Johnny! 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 Hey, Johnny!
Hi! Be with you in a minute.
See Mike yet?
Not yet, but I'm sure he got on. I think he got on the other side, though.
We better get aboard and get him before they find him.
We can't. We gotta wait for him to make the buy first.
Well, that's pretty risky for Mike.
Hi.
Where's Johnny?
Oh, he went ashore.
On ashore?
Yeah. He wants me to handle a deal for him.
Who are you?
My name's Fred.
Must be a good friend of Johnny's.
I don't know, I guess so.
What's his last name?
What is it, a game? How do I know? Calls me Freddie, I call him Johnny. We just work together, that's all.
You're a deckhand, aren't you?
No, I'm a captain. What's it look like I am?
Tom?
Where's he going?
Oh, he'll be back.
Look, if you don't want to make a buy, it's okay.
But we do.
All right, I'll go get the stuff then.
When we know it's yours to sell.
I found the stuff, Mr. D. And this. And there's no one on the crew list named Fred.
Thank you, Fred. Or whatever your name is. Skin diving equipment. You know, a diver cost us the shipment last month and a couple of my best boys. Diver by the name of Nelson. You, I suppose?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Tom, why don't you explain it to him? What did he say his name was?
Over right there, Mr. D. You too, Tom. Come over here, Tom. Now put your hands behind you, both of you.
Bad. We got to get him to a hospital quick. How you doing, man? How you doing?
Well, I felt better. Did you get him?
You bet we did, Mike.
How about the heroin?
That too.
Well, I feel better already.
Good man.
Hello there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is fun and adventure for young and old, but it can be dangerous. So know the sport well and don't take any chances. Be with you next week for another exciting sea hunt.